Webinar has started. Welcome, 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 everybody. Ron Ipach here for our Hump Day chat. Jerry, how the heck are you doing?
I'm good. Hump Day must mean it's Wednesday.
That's right. That's right. There we go. I have to hit the pause over there. Perfect. All right. I'm getting better at it. Normally I have all that bleed through of all the audio and everything on there, but we don't have that. So hopefully everybody's doing really well. It is now December 8th. As we are having this chat. So a couple of weeks away from the big jolly old fat guy dumping a bunch of presents underneath your tree. Hopefully everybody's been good boys and girls out there. And
I was going to say, I see mostly men on the call right now. So, you can all raise your hands. How many of you got all your Christmas shopping done? None. None, right? I know it.
I am the guy that actually likes to go out. But this year, I don't know what's going on. Last night I went out for about 20 minutes, and that's about all the further I got. Then I went and had a beer. So
there you go.
Not too bad. Anyway, here's what we're going to do today. We are going to be talking about, I guess, personally, one of my big ahas that I learned this year. Now, this year's been kind of a funky year, right? I mean, this is, well into, we can talk about the pandemic and how things changed and how people are kind of getting released from the cages and we're out more this year than last year and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we can do, all that kind of stuff, but the only thing that I really want to talk about is what lessons learned. Okay. So a lesson learned combined with an idea, I think, becomes the aha. Okay. I know that sounds kind of cryptic and you're probably wondering what the hell you're talking about. So let me go ahead and talk about that. So look, you guys know there is a technician shortage out there. It's been going on for a while. It seems to be a lot more exacerbated right now because so many shops are so damn busy. The new car shortage, the used car shortage, the parts shortage, or the supply chain issues, and there's just like this groundswell of a bunch of crap going on, right? Okay, you guys all know this. I'm not teaching you anything new, but what's happening is I kind of look at as our big teacher. That what with the environment that's going on, there's like a big teaching moment. And what are we going to learn from this? And what are we going to be able to grab from this to say, I don't want to ever do this again. And wow, this really worked. How do we do more of that? Okay. So that's what today's call is going to be about, is more on what did we learn and how do we like pour some rocket fuel on it and then light that sucker on fire and just blast off with it. Okay. So I already kind of talked about the down or the weird spots, the car shortage and all that kind of stuff. But for a lot of shops, because of that, what's happened is it's kind of outstripped their supply of time and available help. Again, don't have enough help, but I don't know about you, Jerry, but it seems like every single shop owner I talk with is busy as hell right now. They could use a few more cars, but they're just like, wow, there's a lot going on without them even trying hard, right?
Yeah, definitely overall. I know some shops now, Christmas is coming, Santa Claus is coming. You might experience a little lull, but overall 2021, the majority of the shops have just been slammed.
Yeah. And and understand, and thanks for pointing it out, Jerry. I'm not just talking about right now. I'm talking about what's really happened throughout the year. And I think that's going to happen for a while because the supply chain and chip shortage and
you're not talking about
something else,
right?
What's that?
I just want to make sure. You had me worried. You're not talking about potato chips, right?
No.
All right.
I know. I saw you
sweat.
No, but I think, it's not going to go away. Okay. So that's kind of the bad. And it's also the good. I'm kind of looking at this thing as the recipe for success as we move forward to next year. That recipe, you can choose to add some of this stuff in or keep it out. So what can we use to add into that recipe? So look, Jerry and I have been talking about this for a while, for probably long before the pandemic, and it's really kind of proved us right that you can do better with fewer vehicles. It's not a matter of getting more cars in. It's a matter of doing right with the cars that you have. So what do I mean by that? Well, with the pandemic happened, when there was a lot of shutdowns, things like that, there was only so much time or so many cars that you were going to get that day. I mean, and you got them and that was it. And there weren't as many. So what happened? Well, you took some time, right? You really took your time with each one of those things because each one was that gold mine. Okay. So if you guys have been listening to what Jerry and I have been saying for a long time on these videos or individual videos, or if maybe you're part of our various groups like the War Room or Maverick, you heard us talking about this thing. So I want to kind of, and you know it too. I mean, if you look back at how many cars you had in and what your average ticket was, if you were doing it right, it shot up. So you're able to make more with less, and I think part of the thing and what Jerry and I always try to teach is you don't have to run around like a chicken with your head cut off all the time in order to be a profitable business. You can slide into this thing if the business is run right, if the sales are right, if your systems are right, if you pay attention to your profitability, it's a lot easier than it really seems to be. People think the harder they work, the more they're going to do. And I'm saying, hey, let's just take the pressure off and let's work easier and just let the profits grow.
I think if you pay attention, not only our business, these are some lessons learned. I guess that's what we're talking about. And I can share some of the lessons as we go on here today. I know we're going to try to keep this to about 20 minutes or so, so I'll try to be brief, but almost every industry, this COVID thing, if you want to call it that, has really been like a line in the sand. And I know at my shop, I've got fast food places all around me. It's probably why I'm always 20 pounds overweight, but nonetheless, they learned some lessons. All of their indoor dining is closed and the lines have never been longer in the drive-through. They're doing more with less people. And I believe that their profits are probably up. I don't know that, but that would be my hunch. All industries, not just food industries, but all industries have changed. There's a lot of huge office buildings that are now vacant because people are working from home. So look at some of the lessons learned in your auto repair shop.
Yeah. So let's take this and look back and say, okay, this isn't the business we always had. It's not the business we ever envisioned. It's not the empire we try to build. Everybody wants more, and more requires more technicians, more CSRs, more hours in the day, more advertising, more costs, more expense, more. But did that really do anything for your bottom line? Okay, in your business to whatever is at the bottom line. So I think if you paid attention, a while back, you realize your bottom line probably went up too if you were paying attention to doing this. So you made more with doing less. So I want to take that and let's stack something on top of it now. So let me tell you about a thing called the 80-20 principle. So it's some people call it the Pareto Principle, from this Italian dude, I think he was, named Pareto, that came up with this thing. And he looked at causes and effect, and he found that 80% of causes came from produced 20% effects, and 20% of causes gave 80% effects. So what that really means, if you've heard it before, I'm just giving a review, but it's your first time. What this really means is if you really look at your database, 80% of your sales came from only 20% of your customers. Now think about that. 80% of your sales came from 20% of your customers. And if you really dive in your database, you'll find that it's pretty true. It may not be exactly 80-20, but see, as you understand, I'm trying to stack. So what we're trying to do is we're talking about that there's more opportunity out there to work on cars, but there's less available time and technician time available to do it. So we have to be picky and choosy as to what who we're doing business with. And if 80% of your business is coming from only 20% of your database that you have, do you want to keep expanding the database, or do you want to pay attention to those 20%? Well, I'm here to tell you the big aha when you stack all these things together is pay attention to that 20%. Now you might be saying 20%, that's, okay, that's well and good. But if you do it, we've had a few clients go and run the numbers, and 95% of the business came from only 30% of their business. That meant 70% of all the time that they were spending only brought in 5% of the sales. Now you might be thinking that I'm crazy. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. And I'll remind you at the end of this call. I want you to run the numbers yourself. I want you to prove to yourself. If I'm wrong, then throw out everything. Just say, okay, this was a waste of my time. But if I'm right, tell me that you're going to have that aha, like, holy crap, this really means something. How do I pay attention to this? How do I work with the better customers more and get rid of the time wasters, get rid of the things that are sucking up my time, are requiring me to have more technicians, are requiring me to get there at 6 o'clock in the morning and leave at 8 o'clock at night and work the weekends? How much of that time would be released if we got rid of the 70% of people that were only bringing in 5% of your sales? You see where I'm going here? We already proved that if we had fewer cars coming in, our average ticket would go up. That's step number one. Now, what I'm telling you is look at your own database and find out where the money is. If the money isn't in, let's say 70% of the people you're doing business with, do you really want to be spending that valuable time and paying a technician that is valuable to find to begin with and a valuable technician time? Do you really want to be spending that time on somebody that's bringing in, of the 70% of your business, only bringing in 5% of the sales? You kind of see where I'm going with this? I hope this makes sense to you guys. Just by paying attention to this, now how do we fine tune this? Because, look what would happen. Look, if we got rid of all the people in your database that amounted to only 5% of your sales, what would you be able to do? Well, let's say you got rid of, let's say 2/3 of your customers, so how much extra time would you have in the day? Well, probably a lot, right? How much less hassle will you have? Because believe it or not, I'm sure you believe it. Think of your pain in the ass customers, the ones that you do the inspection with, and then they come up with some excuse they're selling the car, and damn well they're not selling the car because they can't buy another one to replace it, or they want you to do everything for free. There's a lot of pain in the ass in the lower end, in that 70% of your customers that you'll get rid of. Hopefully after this call here, you'll start thinking about that. But think about, would you even need to find that extra tech that you've been spending all that time trying to find? Would you need as many techs as you have right now? What about that pain in the ass guy that's got you, like, he runs the damn business, not you, right? He's that prima donna tech. Would you even need him? I mean, I'm just trying to get you to think outside the box here, because remember, this is that big aha I have here, that when you stack these things on top of each other, you realize, whoa, this business can make more money with less people and a whole lot less hassle if you do it right.
A couple quick comments to that. One of our Maverick members, Jim, he's got a shop in Chicago. He said something on one of our calls the other day, and it was astounding to me the way he said it. He said, my parking lot's never been emptier, and my bank account has never been more full. And I'm thinking, holy cow, and maybe that's not you. Maybe you've got so many cars you don't know what to do with, and you're running around, like a chicken with your head cut off. But think about what he said, because I do think that that's important. And I'm not saying get rid of 80% of your customers. I mean, we're just talking about numbers here. Definitely 80% of your problems come from 20% of your customers. Be selective who you let in the door. Some of the ways I used to be a proponent of, many of you who maybe listen to some of the sales training that I did, or some of the sales training that Bill and I have done, we used to talk about free preliminary inspections. Get them in, we'll do a free preliminary inspection, and I would have the technicians set their timer no more than 10 minutes. I don't do that anymore. Once the customer's in, I quote them a level 1 inspection, and it's $59.95. Now, why would I do that? I'm getting rid of the bottom feeders. I only want to deal with the customers that are willing to spend money. So take a look at some of those changes that maybe you can make in your business.
Yeah. And before you start freaking out, like, oh my God, if I get rid of all these people, when I say get rid of them, let me kind of explain. Pay attention on who you're trying to get in the door. Okay. If it's somebody that if you're just trying to fill some base space and it's the wrong person, you're not going to have a good day. I mean, if you remember 2 weeks ago when we on the hump day call, we talked about, this having better sales starts with a better person. So really what we're doing is we're driving deeper into who that better person is. And I'm going to tell you, inside your own database, there's a lot of really bad people. And not bad, you understand what I mean? Bad for business people, they may be great people, but if you're not making any money,
When the phone rings, I'm caller ID, you all got caller ID, and if, some software programs, you can actually, it'll search your database. But when the phone rings, I'm typing in their name and I'm looking at lifetime stats. If it's a top 20 customer, I'll do whatever it takes to get you in. Do you have time? You bet. Bring it down. I'll drive you home. We'll get you an Uber, whatever it takes. If it's a guy that's got a $23 average ticket, I can't get him in for probably a month. We're just back solid because we're trying to just kind of stack that deck in our favor. So what Ron's talking about is paying attention.
Right. And then let's look at the other side, the other upside of this entire thing. What if you took all of the great customer service you do and all the really good things you did for your customers and just put them on steroids? So now let's say, I'll just pull out some easy numbers for me. Let's say you've got 1,000 customers in your database and you're going to get rid of the bottom half of it. So now you got 500 customers. Well, all that money that you're spending on advertising or whatever now gets sliced in half. You don't have to do as much advertising because you're getting rid of customers. So now you're directing your advertising towards the people that are going to bring you the most money. Your customer service, the time that you're going to spend with them, that you're going to get to know them. Maybe you do car care gifts, like we encourage a lot of our clients to give nice little gifts every time somebody comes in. You leave something in the car. How cool could those gifts be when you're not trying to send them give them to 1,000 people who come in multiple times, so you can have that same amount, but you're also all of a sudden able to spend more on each one of those gifts. You're going to have the time to know everybody's name. You're going to have more time to talk with them and find out what other cars they have sitting in their driveway that you're not working on. Because I guarantee you're not working on all the cars that are there. Encourage them to bring in. So by freeing up time, it allows you to be a better business person and be and do better with each one of the people. And you know what? When that happens, when you take the time and you get to know your people and really slow things down, guess what? They're going to start talking about you because now, I mean, Gerry, we always talk about how bad customer service has gotten lately because of customer or employee shortages and things like that. But now you're taking time, you're doing something nobody else is doing right now. So of course people are going to talk about you. They're going to say nice things about you. And you know what? Birds of a feather flock together. And when a good customer refers one of their friends, guess what? Chances are pretty darn good that person's going to be just like them. They're going to be a really good customer. And they're coming to you saying, these people give excellent customer service, not go there because the place may look like crap, but their prices are cheap. You're getting the right person in the door. And I think that's really key with this entire thing.
Yeah, I think when you go back and you look at what COVID taught us, I think it's Parkinson's law, that basically that, your work expands to fill the time available. I noticed that, like when I'm going on vacation and I got a whole bunch of stuff to get done, I managed to get it all done. When we're going on vacation and maybe it's out or, whatever it is, hey, honey, I need you to make sure that you get the grass cut in the yard done by Sunday or whatever that is. It's going to be Sunday at midnight when I get it done. Things expand, right? And it's the same thing what we did with, with COVID. So we had fewer cars. We stayed just as busy during those 8 hours. Nobody was standing around. When everything kind of kicked off, but we were able to do better inspections and serve our customers better and ultimately deliver a better product. Average tickets went up. I know they did. Everybody on this call, I guarantee you, when the car count went down, your average ticket went up. At least it certainly should have. And that's what we're talking about. Maybe doing more. Think about doing more with less.
Right, exactly. So here's what I want you to do. I want to leave everybody with some homework. And I mentioned it earlier here because I think it's important that you run these numbers yourself. So let me kind of give you a reason to do this. So we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on the Hump Day call, where we had Jerry just pull out a section of his database. He recently went over to Techmetric, and so all the customers he had in that database, and I asked him to run the numbers. And here's what we found as far as the average ticket between the upper 50% and the lower 50%. The upper 50%, so he just looked at all the customers he had and drew a line right there in the middle. And then we looked at the average ticket on the upper 50%. The average ticket was $1,001. Okay, $1,001. The bottom 50% was only something like $168 or something crazy on, and it was just, you look at that line and you average everything above it and everything below it. It's $1,001 and $168. I want you to do the exact same thing. Take every customer you've had. Right now it's December 8th, so we've got 12 months or 11 months worth of customers in your database, and just draw them all out and just go, A to Z, the people that spent the most on down, and then draw a line right there in the middle, and then average the upper and lower. And I guarantee you, you're going to be like, holy crap, what am I doing with these bottom 50% of the customers? They're eating up at least half of your time, right?
More.
And they're bringing in nothing. The average ticket's 168 in Jerry's case, or 1,000. Who do you want to work with? So I want you to run that number so that you prove it to yourself first, because the belief, and Jerry's always the first one to say, look, first you got to believe. Okay, so in order for this, what we talked about on today's call, to make sense to you, you need to believe it first. So that's step number one, is look at where the money is made. Do a comparison between the upper and lower 50%, and then you decide, is this, are we on the right track? And then start looking at it differently. Like I said, one of our clients once told us that 95% of his sales came from his top 30% of your customers. Look at that dividing line and you start realizing, wow, there's a lot of crap that I have here that I'm working with every single day that requires me to have that extra technician out there, that requires me to get in early, go home late. It requires me to do all this. It's not a matter of trying to build an empire. It's a matter of building a good, solid business with good, solid customers. And you won't do it until you actually prove to yourself that it's going to work for you. Jerry, any final thoughts? Because we're a little bit over time here.
No, I always say the numbers don't lie. So yeah, I think you'll be surprised when you do that.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys and gals. Thanks for taking your time and watching this. Do the homework. Be amazed. And look, this might not be for everybody, but I guarantee there's some nuggets on this call of what we talked about that are certainly going to help you as you move forward and we move it into next year. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.